The battlefield was quiet now, though the echoes of destruction still clung to the air. Smoke coiled upward from the ruins of what once was a Vaari settlement, their crystalline homes shattered, their once proud streets now dust and ash. Captain Elias Rourke trudged forward, boots crunching over broken fragments of alien stone. His rifle hung at his side, his eyes scanning for survivors. Humanity's war with the Vaari had ended only days ago with a fragile truce, one signed in exhaustion more than peace. Both sides had bled enough. But Elias wasn't there as a soldier anymore. He was assigned to the humanitarian corps, search, rescue, and reconstruction. It was the part of war most soldiers never saw, the part that came after the killing stopped. "Clear on this side, Captain," one of his squad mates called, voice echoing off the broken walls. Elias nodded, but his attention snagged on something. No, someone. Sound. Fragile. It wasn't the wail of machinery or the hiss of leaking fuel. It was softer, uneven. The whimper of a child. He turned sharply, scanning, ears straining. The sound came from beneath a slab of crystalline wreckage. Dropping his rifle, Elias dug his hands beneath the jagged stone, muscles straining. With a groan of effort, he heaved the debris aside. There, curled against the dust, was a tiny form. Vaari child. Her skin shimmered faintly like fractured glass, glowing faintly where the sunlight hit her. Her eyes, far too large for her delicate face, blinked up at him with both terror and hope. She was trembling, her small hands clutching a shard of broken crystal like a dagger. And then, in halting words of broken Terran speech, she whispered, "Are you my father?" Elias froze. He wasn't prepared for this. Of all the things he'd seen in war, death, horror, cruelty, this pierced deeper than any blade. The girl stared at him, tears forming at the edges of her luminous eyes. Her people had been slaughtered, scattered, abandoned. She had no one left. And in the desperation of her loneliness, she had given him the role her heart needed most. Father. Elias swallowed hard. "No. I'm not," he said softly, his voice almost breaking. "But I won't leave you." The child's small body shook, and then she collapsed forward, clutching his armored chest as if afraid he might vanish. And in that moment, Elias made a decision that would alter both of their lives forever. The middle. Her name was Sarai. At least that's what Elias thought she said. Her words were fractured, as if the war had not only stolen her family but also much of her voice. Still, she clung to him as if she'd always belonged there. At first, the others in his unit weren't sure what to do. A soldier bringing back an alien child. It wasn't forbidden, but it wasn't encouraged either. Humanity and the Vaari were supposed to be allies now, but wounds were fresh and suspicion ran deep. "You sure about this, Captain?" his sergeant asked one night at camp, glancing at the sleeping child nestled in a blanket by the fire. "She's not human. And you know what people will say if you try to take her home." Elias stared at the girl, her fragile form curled tightly, as if afraid the world might crush her again. "I know," he said quietly. "But she's alive because I found her. And I won't abandon her." Day by day, Sarai grew more comfortable. She laughed when Elias showed her how to roast food over a campfire. She followed him around like a shadow, mimicking the way he walked, the way he saluted, even the way he cleaned his rifle. But she also carried scars, deep ones. At night, she sometimes woke screaming, her crystalline skin glowing with a painful intensity. Elias would gather her in his arms until the tremors stopped, whispering gently until she could breathe again. One evening, as they were traveling back toward the human base, Sarai tugged on his sleeve. "Father," she asked again, her alien tongue struggling but determined. Elias knelt before her, his throat tightening. "Sarai, I'm not really your father." Her eyes watered, but she tilted her head. "But, you protect me. Stay." "That is, father." He couldn't argue. And maybe, just maybe, she was right. Back on Earth, things became even more complicated. Elias had returned from countless missions, but never with a child, especially not one from the very species humanity had nearly destroyed. The news spread quickly. The war hero who adopted a Veari orphan. Some saw him as a symbol of peace, proof that reconciliation was possible. Others called him a traitor, accusing him of bringing danger into human society. Bureaucrats pushed back. Laws were vague on alien adoption but not favorable. Officials argued that Sarai should be placed in a neutral care facility, designed for alien refugees. But when they tried to take her, Sarai clung to Elias so tightly her crystalline fingers cut into his uniform. "No, father!" she screamed, voice breaking into a keening wail that silenced the room. Elias met the eyes of the officials and said firmly, "If you want her, you'll have to tear her from my arms. And if you do, I'll never forgive you." Against the pressure he fought. Through hearings, interviews, and endless paperwork, Elias refused to back down. The child needed more than a facility. She needed family. She needed him. The years passed. Sarai grew quickly. Her alien physiology aging differently from humans but close enough that Elias sometimes forgot she wasn't his biological daughter. She was brilliant, curious, and fiercely protective of him. When other children mocked her at school, Elias feared she would shrink away. Instead, she stood tall, her crystalline voice ringing out. "My father is human and stronger than any of you." At home, Elias taught her about Earth, its history, its stories, its flaws, and its beauty. In return, Sarai taught him pieces of her lost culture, songs sung in crystalline harmonics, tales carved into glowing stones, rituals meant to honor ancestors long gone. Together they built something rare, a bridge between two species through the bond of father and daughter. But peace was fragile. Not everyone wanted unity. Rogue Veari warbands, bitter from defeat, still prowled the stars. And one night, when Elias and Sarai were returning from a simple supply trip, their ship was ambushed. The attackers didn't want money. They wanted Sarai. "She is the last daughter of a high bloodline," one of the Veari raiders hissed as they boarded the transport. "She belongs to us, not to a human." Elias stood between them and the girl, rifle steady, eyes burning with fury. "She belongs with family," he growled. "And she is mine." What followed was chaos. Fire, screams, the flash of energy weapons. Sarai, trembling, saw her father fight like a force of nature, every strike, every shot driven by the need to protect her. But she also saw something else. Elias was only human, flesh and bone. He couldn't fight forever. And in that desperate moment, something within Sarai awakened. Her crystalline body flared with power, releasing an energy she had never tapped before. The raiders staggered back as light seared the air, her voice splitting into harmonics that shattered their weapons. When it was over, the raiders fled, broken and terrified. Sarai collapsed into Elias's arms, her glow fading, tears streaking her face. "I'm sorry, father," she whispered. The ending. Years later, people would tell stories about them. The human soldier and the alien child who became his daughter.